You're listening to The Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mike Yahoo.
Hey, what's up, Market Moose? Mike from the Moose on the Loose. I hope you're doing well on this Friday. Small change here in the programmation of the Moose on the Loose. On Fridays, I will talk a little bit more about financial planning and retirement. This is, of course, because I have my toes dipped deep inside Retirement Loop, my new project. It's a retirement community online to help people transition into retirement. So build your own plan. And once you're there, having the tools to make sure that you keep your ship steady. The Retirement Loop's doors are closed, but you can register to the waitlist at dividendstocksrock.com/loop, LOOP. So dividendstocksrock.com/loop, LOOP. So today we're talking about like 4 lessons that I got as a financial planner after doing like hundreds of plans and things that could help you into your retirement. So first things first, of course, you need a plan, but you need a long-term plan and a short-term plan. Why is that? Well, the thing is, even if you're 70 today, chances are you're going to live until 90, maybe 95, maybe 100. So you need a long-term plan to know what's going to happen with your assets, what's going to happen with your taxes, and so on for the next 10, 15, 20, and then maybe if you're younger, maybe you have to plan for like 40 or 50 years, right? Like right now I'm in my 40s, so I need to plan for at least 50 years. So that's the long-term plan. But the long-term plan will give you guidelines, will give you like some kind of like direction. It's like the main itinerary to a big trip, but it's not going to tell you what are you going to eat in 3 days at the restaurant while you are in that trip, right? So you need a short-term plan. You need a plan for the next 12 months. Okay, so how much you need to withdraw from your accounts, which kind of move you need to make to prepare your portfolio for the next coming years, and where the money is going to come from. Is it optimized for taxes? Do you have like extra spending this year? And most importantly, how are you doing this year versus last one and versus 5 years ago? Because once you're retired, it's important also to keep track of everything that is happening year over year. It's like retiring every year on day one, even if it's been like 10 years that you enjoy your retirement. So that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, I see a lot of discussion about expected returns versus portfolio yield versus the past 5 years of returns, right? So if you're planning using the past 5 or 10 years, your graphs are going to look marvelous. You're going to think that you're going to die with $25 million in your bank account. But chances are you're not going to average 12 or 15% annualized growth rate for the next 40 years. So the expected return that you should be using is a lot more conservative. And the more conservative it is, the better it is actually, because it helps you making sure that you're not going to outlive your portfolio, that you're not going to be stressed. And worst comes to worst, if you plan on the conservative side, is you're going to have more money to spend if your portfolio goes better. So it's just good news, right? So you want to plan for that. The other thing is, a lot of investors, they look at their portfolio today, it pays like a 5% yield, and they're thinking, well, I'm retiring on that 5% yield. And there you go. That's my retirement plan. Well, again, that could be dangerous to do that, mostly because for the next 30 years, you will change your portfolio. If you don't change it, well, I'd be surprised that all your companies would be amazing for the next 30 years, right? Some of them will do well, some of them not so much. The economy evolves, the environment evolves, the business evolves, competition comes into play. So you have to always review your portfolio. And maybe in 5 years from now, your portfolio will not generate that 5% yield. Maybe it's going to be bigger, maybe it's going to be lower. So it's better to go with expected return instead of just focusing on the yield. So that's number 2, making sure that you use expected return that are conservative. So nothing above 7%. Even 7%, you're a bit you're a bit optimistic, and that just talks about the equity side. So of course, if you have like a big chunk into bonds or GICs, lower those expectations big time, and it's going to be a better plan moving forward. So before I go with lesson number 3 and 4, just want to highlight that you can register for the waitlist, get some more information about Retirement Loop and about retirement planning altogether. And to do that, you just have to go to dividendstocksrock.com/loop, LOOP. All right, so next one on the list, and this one is a big one actually. Tax optimization versus tax obsession. I've seen this so many times. Like as a financial planner, every year you have to take some courses to be up to date, which is amazing, right? So you get to meet with a lot of experts, you get to ask your questions, and you get also to get new information and up to date. And one of those classes was a tax update. So what changed and everything. And then so you are booked in a room for like half a day or a full day talking with tax experts, and they are passionate about their topic. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people would just say, well, man, like how passionate could you be to run down calculations to optimize taxes? And then sometimes I remember they were like all excited to show us how someone with a trust and a holding company could save $1,000 in taxes at the end of the year on like $1 million plus revenue. So I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I mean, it's $1,000 out of $1 million. Of course, I'm exaggerating a bit here, but this is where I want to make the point that doing tax obsession is not necessarily a good thing. So yes, you have to optimize for taxes and it's great, but always keep in mind that you must A, have a clear investment strategy first, B, have a clear retirement plan first, and then you can optimize for the details. So do not start by trying to optimize all the dollars first with tax optimization and then restrain yourself to not invest in specific stuff just because you're going to pay a little bit of taxes. The best example would be, oh, I'm not going to ever put US stock in my TFSA. Of course, it's better to have them elsewhere because the dividend paid by American companies would be subject to a withholding tax. So it's not optimal, but maybe that down the road, you're better off having Microsoft in that portfolio generating tons of returns and instead of having a poor Canadian company in it. And of course, again, I'm exaggerating, but just you see the point. It's all about having a global strategy first, and then you optimize. And finally, speaking of optimization, one thing that I found super important is for your retirement plan, it has to be simple. It has to be simple. It has to include like clear, straightforward strategies, not something super fancy. Of course, it's great to have like fancy stuff so you can flash and flex that you optimized everything. But if you're not comfortable with your plan, if you're not fully sure that you can manage this plan throughout your retirement and feel always comfortable, and then you have to rely on a tax expert every single year or like an advisor to help you manage your withdrawals, maybe you're paying fees for nothing as well. So that's always a balance between something simple that works and that helps you sleep well at night, similar to an investment strategy, right? So like my investment strategy is super simple and that like enables me to invest with conviction and not second guess myself too often. Well, with my retirement plan, I wanted the same way. I want something easy to follow, a few steps, major key factors that will actually do most of the work. So using Pareto principle here, work on the 20% that will give you the 80% results. And once you're there, well, then it's time to enjoy retirement, right? So, all right, Moose, that's enough for today. Enjoy your retirement, but also enjoy your weekend. We're going to talk again on Monday, and we're going to talk about, was it that important that we had an amazing year in 2024 in terms of returns? Like what's going to come up next? And we're going to like do a quick overview over here. So, all right, Moose, enjoy your weekend, and don't forget to stay invested.
Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to the Moose and the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy this show and do your due diligence after it.